this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup buzz a whisper. Conversations open door. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing. Another cup of cheer. Every thought becomes so clear. From these tunes and bubbling streams, waking up to brand new dreams. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversation. Open doors.
Oh my gosh. Hi. I told myself 15 times, don't forget to unmute yourself. Don't forget. So I didn't. What I did forget was to add myself to the stage. So, hi. Have you guys been sitting in silence this whole time? It was really noisy over here, not because my phone was on, because of course I put it on silent during the show. But yeah, can you hear me now? Let me know. Are we back? Sheesh. Let's see here. I'm going to just show you guys, right? Seeing your comments. We're catching up. I want to know you're here because now I feel a little bit silly. Okay, so let me start at the beginning. I'm Melissa Houston. I am the cultivator of dreams, motivator of human capital. And what that really means is I keep showing up on this platform time and time again to teach you what I have learned about life. For those who didn't hear me for the first 10 minutes, I had this glorious open. I was ready to tell you all about all the things. And so I'm going to kind of start from the top. Want to apologize for not being on it, but guys, I hit the unmute. I just forgot to add myself to the stage. This is what happens when you take breaks. People will show up. You're here and you waited. And I love you all for doing that. That's what real brand looks like, right? You wait outline for the concert, whatever. Thank you. But for those of you who are new, maybe just coming in, let me tell you, I'm Melissa Houston, cultivator of dreams, motivator of human capital. And Felipe's calling me. Hi, Felipe. They can hear me now. I'm live and you're live with me. Okay, bye. See, that's friendship too. Listen, guys, I appreciate you so much. I'm just rusty. That's what happens when you take breaks. But I did the math. And I have to tell you, it is 158 shows. And I thought, man, I've taken some breaks through the years, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the experience and the journey and why this even began. A little bit about me. If you're new to the show, you're going to get to know a whole lot about me. But I was doing the math, and it's 158 episodes of Coffee Chats with Melissa and Tea Time with Melissa. I don't know if you guys remember Tea Time. Drop it in the comments if you do. It was one that I did on Tuesdays. It was a little bit shorter. Anyway, listen, guys, the reason I come to do this show today is because I have, to quote one of my favorite movies, a particular set of skills. And what I do with those skills is almost dangerous in a way. It really is, because it's so simple that once you get it down, your brain can't help but pull bubbles out of the air. It can't help but just Venn diagram some of these life choices. It can't help but seeing the circles. And once you can teach yourself that automatic response to seeing life that way, it really becomes clear. Think about that Terminator movie, right? Everybody remembers Arnold. Just drop it, right? I'll be back. Say that because it's hilarious that I made you wait 10 minutes. But when he walks into a room, you see the computer screen, right? You see him scanning and he's assessing and he knows how many feet from here and there. And I always kind of joke that that's how my brain worked. And so as a coach, consultant, somebody who's been in sales and marketing, somebody who's had to understand human capabilities, potentials, limitations, myself and others inside my family, and then also within businesses, I take all of that assessment skill that's kind of ingrained in who I am and who I've become, and maybe always have been. I might be a little neurospicy, if you know, you know, but it's a superpower. It really is. And I don't like to use that word a lot because I'm not feeling superhuman most of the time. And truthfully, guys, I don't know many who do. Life gets to life in, for lack of a better word. And so that's really where this journey began. 158 episodes ago, I started with a coffee chat that was to catch up friends. 3 years into this, looking back, where did we begin? It was in an audio room. And for those of you who are audio room pros, just drop audio room or something of that, if that's where we met, let me know. Most of you, yes, right? And in those 3 years, we did lots of rooms, 158 together that I hosted. That doesn't count the ones that Felipe hosted. That doesn't count the ones my other friends hosted and had me on, or that we shared in, right? But it did bring a ton of reflection time. It did bring an opportunity to tell you guys what had been going on in my life. And so when Coffee Chats with Melissa started, it was because I was super busy on this platform. I was out here doing marketing. I was doing connecting. I was in the DMs. I met 3 to 5 humans a day for 15 minutes up to 2 hours, depending on if the vibe was there, we'd keep going. And I was really getting to know these humans, right? It was fantastic to be here. It was fantastic to do Social Saturday, and when everybody was on the same thread doing a million things at the same time. It was incredible to share hope. This was something that was kind of a theme that first year. And the reason it was a theme is because I am a self-proclaimed GED and a smile. Everything that I had ever done in my career, I had earned from inside the organization. I did not have the qualifications outside. They would not hire me because I didn't have the bachelor's degree. But once I was in the organization as a salesperson, they would quickly promote me to leadership roles that I wouldn't otherwise qualify for, because my experience and my output was there, right? The potential was proven, and I didn't need a piece of paper to prove to them I knew what I was doing. And then I started getting frustrated that I lived in a world where I had to have that piece of paper. And then I started realizing, you know what, maybe I just don't want to apply for jobs anymore. I want to help create them. And so I did some staffing, guys. And I became a certified staffing professional. I was consulting HR on co-employment laws and what it looked like to have temporary staff within the building, and what are, rules, regulations, work comp, all this, the black and white nitty-gritty compliance stuff. It was my first taste of being in that kind of HR focused, protect the brand role. I had always built a brand, but I hadn't protected it yet. Moving from that, I got into background screens. I spent a decade there. I helped a business start up. That was my staffing employer had wanted to create a second division of the company. I was chosen to run that. Locked in a room with a notepad, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's guidance on employment law and criminal background information from our providers. And I just sat down and I literally Venn diagrammed the state law that I understood, the EEOC, what the rules were, and then different industries. And it was a simple concept of just using my circles. Like, where is the overlap here? Where do these industries need to make sure they're focused? And when you build a good background check, if you've ever done it, and I don't know how many of you have to have different layers. And so it really became this, overlapping circles approach to different ways you can move. Same concept with team building, communication, project management, so many ways to use it, right? And I was shocked at how many grown-ups with those degrees that I don't possess were confused at how simple a circle could make their life. I showed them how to be better at time management. When you're poor, you have to work a little harder to get to where you want to go. And I don't know if you know this, guys, and I'm sorry if it's going to ruffle your feathers because you don't agree, but I always paid a little bit more on my credit card because of my interest rate than somebody who didn't have bad credit to begin with, right? My mom never could co-sign for me, so I was never as safe as the friends who could have a co-signing parent help. To lenders, of course, right? And so it's that mindset of that. Maybe you didn't have it in with dad's friend who owns the business across the way because dad's also a business owner and is connected and networked and did the things, right? Maybe you never got to meet those people in college that then you work with later in life. There's a lot of that where the college bonding creates additional traction in the business world. So how did I create revenue and value and all of that when I wasn't even allowed in the room half the time? Well, guys, I went through the window, not the door. It's easier to get the business owner to hire me with that same mindset if he knows dad than it is to try to get the HR person who has criteria they have to follow, doesn't get to wiggle on it like the owner does. right? So I go talk to the owner and have him hand deliver me to HR to tell them to hire me or work with me or change their backgrounds, right? And so all of these little concepts that I have gathered through the years, I wanted to share online, and they come in forms of this room now. But where it began, truthfully, was when my mom passed. If I'm doing 3 to 5 chats a day, 5 days a week, and I was active on the platform for a solid year doing this, it was hard to catch up with my new friends. You guys might have been there. I remember Aaron Barrero, tag him if you know him, had hosted an audio room just before I came back for my first event 3 years ago in November. And I sat in the room and it reminded me very much of being a kid in the chat lines we used to call the phone lines, where everybody would talk at the same time and there was no filter and there was no raising your hand and Zoom video and emoji response. But then all of a sudden there was. You could respond with emojis. You could listen to the room without having to be engaged. You didn't have to have your camera on. It wasn't recorded. And it was the coolest place to hang out, at least in my opinion. I used that platform because I loved it so much to invite the people I thought would want to know where I've been. You know, I had disappeared. I wasn't as bright and fluffy. Life was happening. And truly what had happened at that time 3 years ago was my mom had passed away in August. She had fought so hard for 2 years. She had back surgery, 4 surgeries in 7 days. She had had a grapefruit-sized pocket of infection in her spine, and they needed my permission to go in. It was a 50-50 chance of loss of ability to walk, but 100% chance that if we didn't fix it now, she was not going to make it. So I had to make a choice. Life was changing, and I had to grow through it. And when I really started to process losing my mom, at the time, dealing with my sister who was not on the same page with me. I mean, she's still living in a world I can't access. I can't allow myself to be there. And she and I speak, but it's very limited. But back then it was worse. And I don't want to sound bad about my family. I'm being very careful about my words today, guys, because I'm not here to talk poorly about anybody, but this is part of my journey. And I had to work with my sister for almost a month to figure out how we could process my mother's cremation and handle the event. And so I came and I talked about the effect of the waiting, traveling to Arizona to do the service, seeing family members I hadn't seen in a long time and what that was like, to stand in front of all of them and get hugs in quick succession. I also had some hard times there, right? I realized I didn't feel connected to the family in the way I used to. It was very clear that I had grown apart from them, and it was for my own good, guys. And that doesn't mean anything negative towards them, but sometimes you can't hang out with the same people. Sometimes you got to walk on your own. Sometimes you have to, especially after loss, just take a moment and pause and assess and see where you're at. So I did that. I came back ready. My mom had passed. It was September. We held her event. I flew back home that Sunday night, ready Monday morning to get back in the saddle at work. I call my client and I say, hey, can I talk to Brad? And I hear, oh, they didn't tell you? No. What didn't they tell me? And I found out my largest client, my most consistent income of 7 years, month after month, direct deposit hit just from my business. Here's the cash. My client was gone. He had passed away with complications. He had been diagnosed before, and he got pneumonia, and it aggravated his previous diagnosis. He knew he was going to not make it. He knew he was sick, and he didn't let me know. And so loss is compounded. It was a profound ripple in my life. But True Melissa form, I rallied, and I within 30 days I had a new client, I had a new focus, I had a new business, I had a new team. Right? And I felt good, but it took me some time, and I had to take some step backs, and I had to really just like slow down to speed up. It's something I like to say a lot. It's not my quote originally, but I use it all the time. And I didn't even know until I went Googling for this thing to see, where did it come from? Where was that first usage for me? So guys, just know that this is something I've repeated over and over, but I truly believe it. I slowed down in my life. I assessed all the things I didn't need. I really had to focus on the new business. And what I found in that business was connection. I found a new family. I found Charles and Omar and Stacy. I had a boss who sent me champagne, my new client, right? I call them my boss because they do pay me, guys. And they get to tell me what to do if they pay me. That's kind of how that works. But it was rocking. And we were doing a great job. And it was just, we had people giving us kudos, and we were the best team they had ever worked with. And these were professionals I had known for 2 decades. And I knew that they wouldn't say that if they didn't mean it, because they usually tell me how bad it is. And the opposite, I'm a consultant. However, it ended abruptly. August, almost a year after my mom's loss, we closed that business. Now, it has been 2 years since that happened, and there's been a lot, right? There's been a lot that's gone on since, but slowing down every time, because like I said on the first visual, and I didn't actually read it out loud, maybe, growth is optional, but change is not. We don't get to choose whether or not life is going to change. It changes without our permission. Like I said, my mom passed, my client passed. All I could do was control myself and how I would work through that moment, whether I would grow, whether I wouldn't. And sometimes it's harder than not. Sometimes and all the time, guys, assess before you act, but sometimes it takes longer to assess than others. And what I love about this show, and I have to thank all of you who have been here through this journey, is the way this show has helped me heal. This show has brought so much love to my life, and I hope to yours too. But if I could give you the first lesson is that this platform, your actions, your community, showing up and sharing your truth, as ugly, dirty, unhappy as it could be, brings love. The support that came out of this platform was incredible. There are friendships that I have built here that will last for eternity. There were people who said things in moments that gave me that bright, shining glitter moment of the day where it was going to not happen otherwise. Sometimes LinkedIn, even though it's a pain in the ass, love you, LinkedIn, it brings a lot. Part of that journey, part of that love experience is falling in love with the sharing, with sharing my story publicly where others may have not previously, right? Where others may be ashamed to share that they have survived sexual assault, where others may be ashamed to share that they had been a survivor of domestic violence and that at 18, their life changed completely. There are a million ways to explain how this platform has filled my cup. I fell in love with the platform itself. I fell in love with streaming, which, guys, I hated live streaming. Even now, the fact that I'm on StreamYard, I had to figure out how to keep the audio vibe, how to keep the 6 a.m. Saturday morning readiness plan. And it was to not put my face here. I don't need to be seen for my message to be heard. I would rather you be cleaning your yard, doing your dishes, vacuuming, for all I care, as long as you can hear my voice, right? I can share the love without having you have to look at me, without having to put on a full-on production, except maybe for my little ADHD bunnies, we'll change up the scene a little bit on the screen. The other thing I love about this platform and wrote about was the love for the platform, right? The connection, the community, the ability to take your story and make it permanent. Because what I do know about this platform is it's not a permanent stance. If you go back to LinkedIn 3 years ago, you can't really scroll that far. At least they don't let you search for your content the way others do, right? Facebook, for example, they let you go back. And so taking the step to put my experience, my love affair with LinkedIn, why I'm on this platform, into paperback with my friends. 11 other authors, co-authors came together to write their story, and that's permanently there. And the truths are there, right? In that moment, that was our truth, and that will never change. In our moment of going, and I'll say mine, in my moment of loss, in my moment of transition, in my moment of being laid off and having so much back to back, I found a way to write anyway. Not just one, but 2 books. And I got to be honest, not only did I find love in sharing the story, but I really found more love for myself. It was so empowering. It was so important to slow down, sit down, and write what I knew in that moment. What I knew I wanted to leave for my family, what I knew I wanted to leave for you on social, what I wanted to leave for me. If I disappeared tomorrow, if the UFO comes back and picks me up or whatever it is, will you remember what I needed to say? Will I remember what I wanted to say on that day, that storm, that, Pacific Northwest evening in fall? I wouldn't have, right? It's the documentation portion of it. And that came because of this platform. That came because of these chat rooms. That came because of my mother's loss. My mother's life ripple is this show. That's the first lesson. I didn't realize it, right? Love, my mother. It's the first lesson. Showing up to show love brought more love back. Ooh, I just got emotional. Hold on for a minute. I'm going to have to get it together here. Other things I've learned are I am creative. Guys, I'm just going to kind of come back here. These visuals. This is my new coloring book. This is my new playground. I love to go to Canva and play for hours. And that was a platform I hated. I even wrote about not liking on LinkedIn before. And now I play in it all the time. But sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? Just here. This explains 2022 for me. It explains the feeling I felt for 12 months as I tried to figure it out. However, this also was my journey, right? It wasn't dark and dreary. It was also colorful and full of light, and walks in the woods, literally walking in the woods in the Pacific Northwest, going to the beach, taking time to journal, taking time to write, taking time to listen to other people. And I'm going to come to the comments real quick, friends, because I am seeing you, and I'm so glad you're all here. Yes, Aaron, Felipe definitely knows audio rooms. That's where we met. David Pushkin, absolutely audio room. Sharon, I miss audio rooms too, Sharon. And I think they don't have to be gone. I think we should have more friends come to the stage. I am actually going to invite you guys on soon. And I realized I didn't grab my laptop charger either. I got so busy dancing, I didn't grab my charger. So I'm going to have to leave you guys here in a second to do that. But OG Mike says, simplicity often confounds the wise. It can't be that simple, can it? It really can't. The door won't open. I don't know what's going on. And they're like, pull, stop pushing it. Oh, right. Thank you for this. Loving the visuals. I'm loving the visuals too, guys. And that's part of it, right? You have to understand your journey is yours. You're going to do it one way or the other. You're going to write your story either way. And so how are you going to make that happen? How are you going to travel your road? What does your path look like? If you're going to walk down your journey, is it going to look like, Dr. Seuss maybe did it? Is it going to look a little different? Is it going to include books? Are you going to do a book on your own? Has it already happened? I know books like this, thinking back to the Ripple, thinking back to where I began, books like this really had that impact. We talked about it on a show before, but Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. This is kind of what that reminds me of. It's little tidbits of somebody's personal journey that helped them get through that moment, that change. And it helped me get through, guys. The experience of just writing it, not just sharing the story for others to help get through, right? Like Chicken Soup did for me in my teen years. But I was able to tell my story about how I journeyed through this time. I'm telling it now. Let me know if you're here. Let's do a wake-up call. Who's still listening? Just give me something to say you're here, because I have some truth to share. I have some recent truth, some stuff that I've been going through that's hard, some stuff that I have been quiet about for many reasons. But I also want to at least give some clarity to in this moment. So just check in with me. Are you still here? Are you listening? Beyond love, beyond acceptance, beyond journaling and writing and putting the books together, I have learned strength in a way that I didn't understand I would have. And if you've ever lost a parent, guys, I'll be honest, it's something that I hear a lot of people who have lost parents or their support system, a majority of their support system feel. Because that love, that love mom gave, the love your friend, your spouse, your partner, your grandma, whoever your support is, it disappears. Like you feel it in your spirit, you feel it in your heart, but you can't call mom. You can't call grandma. Sometimes life happens and you can't even reach out for your partner or your spouse. So, where I am right now is my husband and I separated 88 days ago today. And this could be a shock for some of you who haven't been hearing it personally from me in the quiet, because we just celebrated 18 years together. Just had our anniversary, just had our grandchild born. But unfortunately, 88 days ago, I experienced domestic violence in my marriage. He had to leave the home. There is a restraining order. And I am in a hold pattern. Because there are ongoing legal battles, I can't really talk about it, right? He's got to face the situation. And so I'm not going to share details. But what I will tell you is it has changed everything. Again. I'm shaking, guys. I'm shaking because it hurts. It's this. It's not easy. And I've been taking my time. I have a daughter who is living through this with me. She still lives at home, and she's been at home with both parents her whole life. It's hard to watch her live this. It's hard to live it at all. I'm certain it's hard for him because choices he made now have a ripple in his life. And I know It is what it is not the statement I want to make, but that's kind of what I feel right now. My hands are tied. His hands are tied. My daughter is living right in the middle, right? And I'm trying to eliminate her ripple in this moment. But if you've ever experienced this kind of life moment, it's hard to navigate. I don't hate my husband. I just can't be there right now. Or probably ever, to be honest, right? Like, I don't know what that looks like, and I don't need to know right now. And that's part of the lesson, guys. Again, going back to this visual, growth is optional, change is not. My life changed. How we grow from here is yet to be determined. It is up to us. Do we figure out a way to co-parent as friends in the future? Do we figure out a way to say goodbye and don't talk again? Do we figure out a way to just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any answers on this, and I don't have to. Nobody really does in the moments where they're unsure, because you get to slow down and assess. Growth is optional, but it doesn't happen quickly, guys. You have to figure it out on your own time. Nobody can rush you. Nobody can tell you you're taking too long. I don't care how long it takes you to math the math. Take your time and get the numbers right. Right? And if anybody's an accountant, if anybody has leadership that pushes them to push numbers faster than they are calculating or able to calculate, then slow down and figure out why you're in the room. Truthfully. And that comes to the next thing, right? And that really is one of my lessons here is sometimes we have to set boundaries. And boundaries aren't always easy. They're not easy to give. They are not easy to receive. There are reasons people need to have the space they have. Some people get upset by them, right? But, and I use the umbrella because I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm going to get a little light here on the topic for a second. But in the Pacific Northwest, if you walk around Seattle with an umbrella, we know you traveled from afar. You're protecting yourself from the rain, and we know what you're doing, and it is working. But there are many, and we're walking and talking, guys, because my computer will die if I don't plug you in. There are many who need it so they don't get wet. They don't like to be wet. Maybe they're going to a business meeting. Maybe they're going live next and their hair can't be ruined. They need that protection. And we might joke about it, right? I've heard a lot of people laugh about safe spaces, but I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's a joking matter. I don't even think it should be a topic of whether or not it's okay to have protection, to do it in a way that makes you comfortable versus somebody else's comfort level. I also think, boundaries hurt. They hurt the people you have to set them with. They hurt to have to enforce. If you've ever had to punish a child, for example, ground them, not let them do their favorite thing when you really wanted them to be able to do that thing, but your job is to hold them accountable more than it is to ensure they enjoy every second of their life. It's a hard lesson. What are those lessons, guys? Do you have any that come to mind where your parents set one, where you had to set one and your kids were not happy? I had to set some recently for my own sake. I couldn't take on others in this moment. I had to protect my time and my family and my mindset and my emotional well-being, my finances, my stability at home. Everything I had known had changed. So if you've been following along with me, if you have been around for the last 90 days or a little bit beyond that, right? Maybe 120 days, the last couple months, you know that on September 28th, I lost one of my riders. one of my customers passed away in a motorcycle accident. And this was a month after my husband had left the house. This was the day before my daughter's birthday. And this was the third young life in a year that I had lost. He had just been in my store. He had just looked me in the eyes and laughed with me. He had just given me a hug, and he was gone. And his friends who loved him were there, and they were looking for support. I was sad. I couldn't imagine how sad they must be if I missed that kiddo so much. And I just sold him gear. I just talked to him. I just fed him at some community events sometimes. But then the next day was my daughter's birthday, and it was her first birthday without both parents in the house, having experienced life. And I had to take my time there. I have been trying to figure out how to come back without talking about what happened. I've been trying to figure out how to come back and not make it harder for any of you guys, right? I know I'm a source of motivation, mindset, empowerment. You guys started the show sharing all of this in the comments section, right? And I appreciate all of that. And so I take that responsibility to heart. And I didn't want to come and pretend. And I didn't want to come and not share my truth. But I also know with an open court case and with my heart just feeling the way it does and my family experiencing what it's experiencing, I had to protect myself first, right? I had to show up for me. And so I made rules. Felipe can tell you, I told him I was not going to stop doing the show with him because I needed something to anchor me in. It was accountability. I asked my friends to keep me accountable. I had a couple of people where I just said, hey, I'm going to check in. I'm going to let you know what's going on. This is how I feel, and this is what I mean. And I had them holding me to that. Sometimes it was a simple text. Sometimes it was, are you doing your show this week? Just checking in to ask, to make sure I didn't forget that if I wanted to, I could. Some of them I just asked for space and time. And that comes back to this imagery, right? I was protecting me the way I needed it in the moment. I was sitting in my bubble. I needed to be left alone in my bubble and figure it out. I don't often get time alone between here, home, my retail management role, the coaching and consulting I do outside of that, and then all of the planning and production that goes into all of the things I do with my clients and my customers and my friends and my shows and hobbies and whatever. It's a lot, guys, right? And so I had to get in my bubble. But then I also had to remind myself that those who were not okay with my bubble time, those who wanted to be more than I needed them to be in the moment, those who wanted me to be more than I could be in the moment, became clear. Just, you get, when you stop moving, when you slow down, when you meditate, Brenda Lease comes to mind with her breathing, right? There's reasons all of these coaches and all of these audio rooms that we've lived through in the past few years tell you the things they tell you. It's because when you get quiet, when you stop moving, when you get still, when you just turn it all down, you feel it. You know what's wrong. The ache in your hip becomes louder. You realize, oh, there's a pebble in my shoe. But the thumping music in your ears hurt more, so you didn't notice, right? And so when life gets painful for me, the first thing I do is slow down. When I get feeling overwhelmed, I know that I am capable of setting too firm a boundary. I am somebody who has PTSD. I am not controlling it with medication. I am grateful that I don't need to, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. Me personally, my journey, my story. What I use is very firm boundaries, and when I'm uncomfortable, I'll say it. I will say, "Hey, my chest, my heart, I feel frazzled. I can't control my breathing. Hold on, I need 2 minutes of quiet time to gather myself, please." And those who appreciate you give you the time, and they do. It might take you repeating it more than once, especially in a moment, but they give it to you. And those who don't, I want you to assess, right? Because there are things, especially for me, in my journey, my story, having survived domestic violence at 18. And it was extreme then, for sure. It was hours before the police arrived. When I felt less empowered than standard, right? When that happened at this age, and not to that degree, guys, but it happened. That's just what it is. I really questioned my assessment. I questioned my perspectives. I questioned the clarity I thought I had. I questioned everything because, again, when you're unsure, the first thing you need to do is assess before you act. When you're in doubt, stop moving. Quicksand does not like movement. And if you're feeling like you're going into quicksand, then stop moving. If you stop moving, you might notice there's a rope right above your head, and your wiggling is making it harder and harder to reach. So I get quiet, especially when I'm not feeling confident. If I'm insecure on the roadway, for example, maybe I get frazzled. Maybe there's some extreme accident that just happened in front of me, and now my chest is going because I was in a car accident before. I'm not going to continue driving down the road. I'm going to pull over, gather myself, take a few breaths, make sure I'm ready to go to be with others before I move again. Because I can create additional issues if I don't, right? So when I'm frazzled, when I'm upset, when I'm uncertain, when I'm not confident in what my steps should be or what has even taken place, like you have to assess your experiences before you can even complete the thought to explain it. And so doing that showed me some clarity too. The ones who could not wait removed themselves. Those who wanted to burst my bubble couldn't penetrate it. It's a bubble of light, and I'm sorry, but there's no way to come in if I'm not ready. I am in my bubble, and it's steel, and it's great. Think about me being one of those gerbils in the big old plastic ball rolling down the hill, like the human gerbil ball. That's me. You can't get in. It's COVID-free kind of thing. But the other part of it is why would any of the people who care about me want to pop the bubble? And so then I watched boundaries, whether it was at work, whether it was with friends, family, the husband, even today, any of that stuff, right? Setting boundaries. You get to assess. If there's a draft in the house and you close the door and just sit still and put your hands up and feel for the air, you can tell where in the seal the flow's coming from. And if you're cold already, you have to stop the draft. It's just it. And if it's still coming in after you close the door, then you do additional work to make sure it doesn't. And so I did, because what I do is I Venn diagram behaviors. And when I'm not safe, any unsafe behavior gets moved further away from me. Anybody who would violate a boundary gets pushed further away until I feel like my boundaries are safe again and I'm fine. And then I wanted to articulate this, right? Like why do I feel so set in that behavior? And is it healthy and all the things? If setting boundaries makes someone walk away, it means they only stayed for what they could take. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Givers need to set limits because takers rarely do. Boundaries are the antidote to emotional exhaustion. A healthy no leads to a more authentic yes. And you know what, Felipe, I see your comment here. I do. Oh, wait, that's not the one. Kenneth, you jumped in. Hold on. Where is it? Right here. Why are you never quiet with me? Let's be honest, though, Felipe. A healthy no from me is really important because then when I say yes, you know I mean it, right? But true with you too. And that's something that I really appreciate, guys, is um, first, Felipe never asked me to be quiet with a tone that sounds fun. And two, he doesn't need my quiet. He needs me to push back sometimes. But when he does go underground, when he took a break, like there is respect there. And so a healthy no leads to a more authentic yes. And then no is a complete sentence. And guys, this one has become a full sentence, full statement. If I had to summarize all of my boundaries, this is it. Anne Lamott, she is the GOAT. Because I don't need to explain why no is no. I don't owe anybody anything more than I'm comfortable giving. And this is true for everything, guys. This is true for your kids. When they take too much of your finances and you're like, I'm not comfortable still buying you 57 pairs of jeans, just wash the clothes you have, or hey, I'm not comfortable giving you allowance if you're not doing your chores or earning good grades. I'm not comfortable. You can set those boundaries. You can tell your spouse, I'm not comfortable, and say no to anything they're offering. Even when you're married, you don't have to sustain everything, right? This is my opinion, and if you don't like it, that's cool. But my husband doesn't need to or didn't need to provide me full access to everything. It's nice if he did, but there are times where humans need to be alone. There are times where people need their own boundaries. And when that gets violated by anybody, mom, cousin, spouse, pastor, I've seen some clergy members and things violate spaces and boundaries. Everybody gets to say no when they're uncomfortable. That's just it. And you don't have to explain your no. If no is not sufficient, let them work that out for them. Because if I had the ability to explain it, I would explain it. And anybody who's been in my show knows I can't help but talk. I've been live for an hour and haven't shut up. 10 minutes of that time, you couldn't even hear me. But I want you guys to give your permission to set a boundary here, even with yourself. You can set mean boundaries. Sometimes the meanest boundaries are my own. Me setting a boundary with a human is actually my boundary saying, do not run to everybody else. You got to figure this out. You don't want to go share your story before you understand your story. You don't want to go speak about things that could make your life worse just because you want to help others, right? Give when you can, but not when you can't kind of mentality. That's a lesson, guys. If I've learned anything, this platform gives love. It lets you document your journey. It helps you meet the community. It helps you get those books published, right? It helps you create a ripple far beyond you've ever dreamed of. There are friendships here that I never expected to find. I thought I was going to get sales. I thought I was going to market some goods and services, staffing and background screens and coaching. I didn't expect to collaborate. I didn't expect to become somebody doing live streams all over the place. I didn't expect to record my events, right? But what I do when I can. And when I do with full heart. I do it with love. I do it when I can. And if I can't, I love myself enough to say that's okay. And it's hard. It is hard, especially when people get used to it, right? I know that habits were made in these rooms. I know Saturdays were the times some of you got it done and you came to the DMs going, what are you doing? I'm not getting any of my yard work done now. Hey, what are you doing? Where have you been? I miss your show. When are you coming back? And out of love for myself, I couldn't give you a clear answer. Out of love for you, I couldn't tell you a half honest truth. I wasn't sure. I still don't know what happens, right? We're in the holiday season, guys. This is the first time in almost 2 decades that I don't have a partner in my home during the holidays. It's the first time I have to watch the Christmas tree go up without his help. He's the guy who did it. my kid having to split holidays. We already had to split up Halloween, and it was a little different. We do family Halloween costumes, and it's different. So for me, I don't force myself to go 75 miles an hour when the road shifts. If I go from pavement to gravel, I slow down. It's smart. However, I can't always slow down and pull over as quickly for friends either. On the gravel road, your stopping time takes longer. And right now, the one thing I could promise was to show up with Felipe, because I knew I wanted to give back, guys. Giving back fills me up. That's a truth for me. It's part of the love that I've learned in my lessons. It is also accountability from a coach who I coach and he coaches back, right? We share our knowledge with each other. And so I had accountability from a coach. I reached out to Aaron Gibson because he had been in my house a few times. He had met my husband. He and I understood each other. I told friends what happened, maybe 2 or 3, just for accountability. And it's sad when the friends can't do what you need, or they try to fix more than you need. Because sometimes, like when you're not sure what the recipe is, the last thing you want is somebody adding to the recipe, which takes your options away. Right? If you've added chocolate chips, now I have eliminated the ability to maybe do a key lime cookie. And it's just a metaphor, but truthfully, I didn't want anybody messing with my recipe while I was in the kitchen. I didn't want anybody expecting Melissa to be Melissa when she wasn't feeling like herself. However, I did know I could show up. I did know if I told Felipe, hey, I can't do this, I'm just going to be here, you do it, he would. And he did. Shout out to my brother. He did. Aaron Gibson often to come and help me produce. And he helped, with just spitballing concepts when I was thinking about when I'd come back. Because I had doubted myself all of a sudden, guys. I had doubted my ability to make decisions because, I didn't see this coming. In the moment, I remember thinking to myself, this is not going to happen. This isn't what you're seeing. And that doubt prevented my ability to stop or act. I don't want to say stop because I don't know what would have happened, but to act in that moment. And so I didn't even act. And that made me pause and reflect too. Like, wait a minute, did you pause too long? Sometimes you can't assess too long because then you miss the train if you're trying to assess what time it arrives. And I had to process that because that is part of the guilt of trying to figure out life and figure out what your responsibility is. And if you are a human who knows you're not perfect, what could you have done differently in that moment should be a question. Even if you didn't do anything, come to that conclusion after you ask yourself the question, right? And so I was doing those things. I was doing those things with myself. I was doing those things with a few of my friends who I knew had experienced it. Nick was another human I got to speak to. And Nick has shared some of her journey publicly in an audio room. And so I shared with her. And so she knew. And she gave me the grace and the space and the things I needed in the moment. And I appreciate that. Right. And I just read that. I appreciate you all. And the ones who couldn't stay, I understand. They are going through their moment, right? Whatever, when I had to say no, maybe it was their first no. It was a boundary that I had to set that they didn't enjoy or couldn't understand or didn't feel great. And that's okay. But we each have to walk our own path. We each have to figure out what that means. And if no is no, then that's what it is. I do want to open the stage to guests, guys. I want to hear from you. If you want to come on the stage today, message me and I'll drop you the link. But I want to talk about the fact that it is 158 episodes between Tea Time Tuesdays and Coffee Chats. I want to talk about the fact that half of you in the comments have been on my stage. I want to talk about it's 158 episodes, and the life changes that we have experienced together have been profound. And I'm not alone. I am very grateful that Aaron Barrero came and shared his journey after my mom's episode. When I look through the event list, I just scroll down all the faces, the names, the people, the topics, the things we have dealt with firsthand. That's a love process, guys. We don't have to show up and do this. We don't have to reciprocate. We don't have to be here. We could listen and never speak. I know I have 50 people who see my post before they engage sometimes, but those 50 people are sometimes you. And just because you didn't comment doesn't mean you didn't hear it. Just because you're not engaging in the comments doesn't mean you're not listening now or before, right? Whatever it was. And so what are those moments? Did you have a moment? What was that ripple? Because it wasn't just my voice. It never was. We were in the habit of sharing hope as a team. We were in the habit of helping each other grow and sharing the information with each other. Tips and tricks and tools and free LinkedIn premium passes and sharing the space, sharing the time. These are not lost on me, and I am grateful for every moment, even the people who have come and gone. Every single moment has led to this one. But this is the first time in my life I'm experiencing going through a divorce, to a separation, to being apart from those 90 days from somebody I never thought I'd have to live without. Now, I've lost before. I'm a not widow, right? At 27 years old, my fiance died 3 days before our wedding in his sleep. It's not new for me to have to transition. My sister lost 2 of her children's father to death. One in a car accident, one was shot at a party by his best friend. These are life lessons I had to learn as I grew, watching others experience loss. But it also showed me that everybody is allowed to set boundaries. Somebody's best friend hurt them, took their life. And if that's true, then anybody could need boundaries, right? Anybody might need to have some slow down time in your life. It's perspective. And also for a little funny, but if you've ever watched Jerry Springer, like, you have to be on guard. If you've ever done background checks, you know, statistically speaking, humans make mistakes. And so what did you learn? What have you experienced? I see Aaron Gibson here. Aaron, buddy, first, can I just thank you for the absolute amazing opening song and the vibe and my arms going up in the air and waving them like I just do not care kind of vibe you bring.
You are so welcome. And I'm doing the exact same thing now that you're back live. Yay!
I've missed it. Guys, I've missed you. I didn't realize how much I missed you until I hadn't been here. But 158 episodes, my friend. A lot of growth, a lot of journey.
It has been one hell of a ride that never stops. And really, you just can't, some of the stuff that has occurred, you just can't make up. That's something you and I have talked about back and forth so many times, but wow, I'm just so proud of you. And the fact that I was honored and privileged to catch you in your audio rooms before we moved to this big shift over to live. I remember those audio rooms, and it still stands true today. Every time you walk away from one of these shows that you do, you've got literally a plethora of takeaways to start applying to your own world and experimenting with and exploring the way that you get us to explore. So a lot of kudos goes to you, my coach.
Well, I appreciate you. And also I wonder, like, how frustrated were you when I was not live and I was just muted?
Well, it's I'm actually really glad that you brought that up because it was something that I was trying to say in the comments while you were talking about it is again, when we have those friends that we care about so much that when they say, we need that time down, it can be like razor blades for somebody. And of course, when you're honoring and respecting that, it is very challenging to not want to just we all have that driven force within us to try and fix things right away. And it takes time and practice to implement, okay, well, what do you need from me as a friend right now? You know that I've got my three things that I always ask. What do you need from me in this moment? Do you need me to listen? Do you need me to support, which means give feedback on what you're talking about? Or do you just need that space? And you have to be prepared as a good friend to just literally honor one of those decisions. And if they ask for that space, know that, as I said in the comments, if you love somebody or something that much, let it go. And if it comes back to you, then that friendship or family was meant to be. But honor that space. And as tough as it can be when you care about them that much, just stay true to the course because they've done it for you.
Yeah. And
So I'm
guys,
proud of you.
thank you. And I got to say, boundaries aren't permanent, right? Sometimes you put up a permanent boundary, baby gate, for example, why you have to go run around and do the laundry, fold the laundry, take it upstairs. You put the baby inside the playpen. It's a temporary boundary. Some of them are more permanent, right? And it's up to us to decide. But I think the way people react to our boundaries definitely gives us some clarity. And it doesn't mean that it's easy for them. And they're not always going to be like, great, don't talk to me for 6 months. See you soon. That's not always going to be the response. But sometimes you don't know if it's 6 months. Sometimes you don't know if tomorrow is going to be better. And not having that clarity does hurt. It does feel like razor blades. But if everybody's allowed to have a bubble and everybody's supposed to be a bubble and everybody is allowed to like grow their own way and do it their way and all of the things we say, right? Be yourself, be authentic, then that means that they might have questions, but you also have to give them room too, right? Everybody's allowed to be in their bubble. Everybody's allowed to say, no, thank you. You're not welcome in my bubble. Heck, guys, have you ever said no, thank you to a kiss in the morning because maybe brushing teeth hasn't happened yet? And you're like, no, thank you, loved one. Go brush your teeth and come back. Like, the kids, especially when they were grown up, like, oh, good morning, go brush your teeth. But that's just a temporary feeling. And once the thing is better, then people can take on more. And I think moms taking a break from the kids, sometimes there's guilt there, right? And I feel that a lot as a coach. I almost feel like a lot of my clients are my kiddos in some way, or, I always look at the people I'm coaching as little kids and grown up bodies. And so I'm always working with that inner child and the dream. And so when I look at the kids, it is hard to say, sorry, mom needs a break. But I do have to tell even my clients, hey, I'm not available today. We can talk tomorrow, or no, that's another person's spot. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be meeting you then. And it's not to be mean. It's because sometimes life needs prioritization. And sometimes friends, family, business, any of it, even the children, have to be deprioritized because something else is more important. If the house is on fire, the kids asking for a juice box is probably not going to happen right now. And that's something that people have to be okay with. If the kids are mad at you because they didn't get juice while you're trying to save their life, let them be mad. Let them be mad. Let them tell their therapist. Everybody has a therapist story. Let them tell it. At least you saved them, right? At least you made the choice to not hurt them or let harm come to them. And sometimes with a girl like me and PTSD, and not always, like when I'm frazzled, I don't always have the same emotional control that I would like to. I set boundaries not to hurt other people's bubbles. Sometimes I'm aggressive. Felipe, I'm bringing you on stage in this moment because we could get back and forth, but truthfully, if we respect the other person's boundary, we don't usually go there. And it's fun to push on that for fun, but it's never really fun to do it when it hurts or aches or means something, right? And so we respect that part.
Absolutely. Hey, can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. Except I have good reception right now. I'm driving through the Adirondack Mountains, so if I get cut off, that's why. But Melissa, I think, first of all, you are one of the strongest people I know. And like I said in the comments, you've raised an amazingly smart, strong, intelligent woman. And because of that, she's going to be okay. But one of the things that about boundaries, first of all, when you mentioned the playpen, I'm already envisioning creating a AI image of you in the playpen saying, "Don't mess with my boundaries."
Stay away from my toys.
Uh, but no, but I think that when you and I have gone back and forth, we play around, joke around, but we know when we're being serious. The moment we say, you know what, I need this right now, I need a break, I need space, we hear each other. May not be immediately, it might be like a minute or two before we catch on, like, oh shit, you're being serious, okay. But I think that's the important thing, is that people are in tune enough. And like I said earlier in the comment, unfortunately, selfish people aren't in tune to you enough to care about what you're going through. They only care about what they're going through. So those are the people that you don't need around you if they can't recognize, oh, wait, you need me right now. Aaron put what he said very eloquently about his 3 different questions.
In about 10 miles, take exit
my wife gives me those 3 options. She's like, I'm venting and I just need you to be quiet and supportive, or I'm waiting for you to respond because I need your input, or I need you to do something about it. Take some action. So those are the 3 ones that I live by usually. But the most important thing, I think, and you do this really well, Melissa, is letting people know about the boundaries. Like we violate our own boundaries more than anybody else, and I say that all the time. And it's because we want to be nice. Like, oh, I said I wasn't going to do this today, but okay, I'll do it because I can help. No, like you said, no is a complete sentence, and it's okay to say no. The only thing I'll say about this, and I'll shut up after this, is I think that if you are really close to somebody and they say no to something that they've always said yes to, I think it's okay to say, has something changed, I should know about, or do you not like this anymore? I think it's okay. It's when you're trying to convince them that no is not the right answer. And that's wrong. But kudos to you for everything you've done.
Well, thank you. And honestly, I love what you shared. I do think people don't always mean to be selfish or violate our space either sometimes. And I think about the Titanic, guys, right? Like, we've all seen the movie. Everybody knows the story. In that moment when the ship's going down, it's hard to respect somebody else's boundary while you're trying to save your own life, right? And so if you're in survival mode, and I've been working on this imagery in my brain, but I have this hand just kind of cresting out of the water. Somebody reaching for air, so to speak, is the visual. And in that moment, are you like pulling them out to ask them for to switch over to Geico to save money on their car insurance? Are you reaching in to give them air? Are you pouring more water on them by asking them to take on more than they can while they're trying to get out of the water? And sometimes, especially as a coach, like setting a boundary with people who want coaching or need that person, it's harder because they're already feeling like they're underwater too. And so when you just back up and like, sorry, I can't worry about you right now, I have to survive first. It's very selfish, right? It feels like, oh my gosh, how dare you leave me like this? But even on the airplane, they let you secure your face mask before your child. In the water, you can't rescue your child unless you can rescue yourself. And I think asking people like, do you need help? Are you okay? Is the first response, especially if you're not drowning. But if you are drowning, say, okay, do you have another resource? Right? Because if somebody said, hey, Melissa, you can't coach me right now, but I need help, I would say, great, let me call Felipe. Felipe, please coach Aaron because I can't today, but Aaron's really in need. And that is the kind of shift you can have with good communication. Felipe, go ahead.
So, yeah, one thing I want to say is, and I totally agree with what you just said, my example of selfish people are people that have demonstrated it. I have a relative who is in their 60s. They have been selfish their entire life. They are not going to change. And they don't have any, they're not neurodiverse. They don't have any traumatic things that happen in their life. They don't have any, horrible tragedies. I mean, it's just they've just always been selfish, and so there are unfortunately some people like that in the world that you just need to keep at a distance. And the other thing I'll say about support, which was one of the wisest things that one of my trainers told me, was he was showing me a visual, and he goes, support is really different in people's minds sometimes, and you have to really be intentful with what you mean by support. Because imagine if somebody had fallen in the water and was drowning. What kind of support, if that was you that was drowning in the water, what kind of support would you like? The person that says, come on, you can do it. You can reach the pier and climb out. Come on, you got it. I believe in you. Or would you want the person that threw the life raft or the life vest down there for you to be able to float on to get to the pier? So it's about the intent of the support, and the person who's like, oh yeah, you can do it, I believe in you. Are they willing to help you, or are they just, is it all talk? So I'll leave you with that, and thank you for coming back, Melissa. I missed you, and I know I'll see you tomorrow, but it's always great to see you.
Well, I hope you guys have fun. Tell Michelle we send our love because she's part of the audio world here too. And
Here, Michelle, say hi to Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
hi. I still can't believe you love that guy sometimes, but I'm just kidding, Felipe. No, I love that she puts up with all of your chaos and our friends and my chaos. And I can't wait for tomorrow. Guys, go follow him if you're not. Same with Aaron Gibson. These are people that if you don't know yet, I don't know how you know me and not them. That's just truth.
Hello, Mrs. Coffino.
Oh, Jay, thank you. Jay said hi.
Oh, that was Aaron.
Oh, that was Aaron.
Yeah, that was me. I was like, hi, Mrs. Coffino.
Oh my God, your boy, you sounded like Jay for some reason.
Well,
Wow.
I can change my voice in a whole bunch of different ways.
Oh
I
my.
need you to help me with my audio reading of the children's book then, so you can be some of the animal characters.
Oh my. Oh my.
Well,
And
all right,
you should
pardon.
probably talk to Annette too for the girly ones, right? You guys, you know people. Listen, I gotta say, guys, it is 7:21. We have 39 minutes left. If you want to join the stage, if you want to talk about something you've learned in the 3 years, something you've experienced, if you're just joining, I want you to go learn who I am at documentthenAct.com. Follow the YouTube channel. Go figure it out. It's Document Then Act over there too. It's really simple. I just kept it consistent. Consistency works really well, guys. But if you want to come join the stage, share, what you've experienced knowing this lady, please feel free to do so. What have been your favorite shows or experiences or conversations we've had? Paulette, welcome to the stage, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's really. Can you hear me? Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. I'm on my phone, so it might be a bit noisy. Listen, there's two things I want to say, and that is that strong women are important, but having empathy, having love, having the ability to show it, being willing to be vulnerable, they're qualities that you've shown over the last 3 years, week after week after week. Yeah, you can be a sarky moo, which is probably your English bit you don't even know you've got, but that's your
Me
English
too.
bit, or your Scottish bit, whatever you want to call it. But I'm owning it. It definitely comes from the UK, that sarcasm. But it's about having the ability to go and reach people from wherever and whenever and whatever. And you just do that. You do that so beautifully. And I think that people have listened and learnt from you. And, if I was looking for a role model on LinkedIn, you would be it because of the way that you do that. You do it so beautifully. And, there's no bigger compliment than for me to say, I like you as a friend. And I don't like a lot of people. And I know that sounds, I know I don't mean that nastily. I mean like closely. I mean, I've got loads of friends, but I only let a few in, like really in. and you wormed your way in, and or I let you in. I don't know which way it worked, but you know what I'm saying. There are a few people that reach you in a way that other people don't. And that sounds like a chocolate bar, but you know what I mean. It's true, and that's all I wanted to say. And the other thing I wanted to say, and I put it in the comments, and that is that to be a mum is a huge privilege. To be a mum to a daughter is something I always wanted, and I guess in some ways I have a foster daughter because I looked after a girl that was in the village. But the key for me is to show them how to be the best woman you can be, because that's what role models are. Your granny was the best to you, and you've been the best to your daughter. And if you didn't act the way you do, and you weren't the person you were, you don't have to worry about her, because she knows about boundaries. Boy, does she know about boundaries. You've been talking to her about boundaries probably since she's been 5. So, that young lady is going off into the world, a strong female who knows her place. And that is down to you, my lovely. And I want you to know that, because we all need to be role models to people in our lives. And you have been the best, not just to your daughter, but to many of us who come to your shows week in, week out. And I emulate you in many ways, because I wanted to reach people the same way you do, to touch people the same way. So I don't know if that's an ode to Melissa, but that's kind of how I feel.
I had no idea you felt that way, that you wanted to emulate me. And that's the kindest compliment I think I've ever heard. Also, irony a little bit, Paulette, you said Scottish, because just yesterday, guys, I did 23andMe a few years ago to find my dad. And I hadn't logged in a while, and it came up in conversation yesterday about being German with one of my employees, because they lived there. And I wasn't sure where my German ancestry came from. So I was comparing and contrasting with where she had lived. And I opened it up, and it had updated my DNA. And it got in there and said that I am actually Belgian, Scottish, Southwestern German, Polish, English, Irish, Italian, Danish. So
The sarcasm is the UK. I'm telling you, it's all UK.
I was
I'm
going
like,
to say the
hey,
best of all worlds there. So you're good.
Is that European mutt?
I'm Heinz 57 without the Heinz. It's great. No, but I was shocked. I was not shocked to see the Irish. I'm not going to lie. I knew that was there. I wasn't shocked about the English. I wasn't shocked about the German, because that was always there. The Scottish threw me off. I wasn't expecting it, but I do have a secret. And I think Scottishmen are the cutest ever with their little accents. And so that makes sense. It's in the genetics.
Well, bloody hell.
It's the
We're
kilt,
not going there
Melissa.
this morning.
It's the kilt.
It's not the kilt. It's not the kilt.
Did you have a crush on Scotty from Star Trek?
Ew, no.
No, but he was also the coolest character on the Enterprise.
Oh man, I don't
I don't
know.
know. He was the smartest. Not of the coolest. He was the smartest.
Yeah, he wasn't. No, but I just have to say, it is shocking, but I think we are who we are, guys, and I think you can't hide it if you want to. I think who I am as a human comes out, whether it's in the genetics or in my actions. I can't pretend to be who I'm not. I try not to. It's actually why I took such a long break, is because I wasn't ready to share my story quite yet. But I knew I had to. I knew that that's what you guys knew of me. And if I didn't show up authentically, you could smell it, right? You would smell it on me, because Melissa doesn't hide. Melissa doesn't mince words. And when she does, it's because she's not clear. And I really want to share clarity. And so, Paulette, I appreciate that share. I appreciate you being a guest. You have been such a great support throughout the years. I have laughed so many times with the people right here on this stage. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, how many times, guys, have we been on a stage together? Can you even, Aaron Gibson, I'm going to ask you, take a guess as to how many. If I've had 158 shows, how many shows have you had?
I have only had 83 episodes with Soul Man Live, an additional, I think, 35 with Voice Your Vibe.
Wow. And then Felipe, do you even have a guess as to how many shows we've done? Are you still around? He might have lost signal. He's in. Oh.
No, I'm still around. If I had to make an educated guess right now, we are probably around 75-ish, and with the other show, I'm probably in the 200 somewhere between the old High Achievers Hour, Workplace Wellness Hour, and Careers Chaos and Coaching.
But that doesn't count the shows where you jumped on here or
God, no.
Saturday chat. It doesn't count Nick's show. Nick,
Oh,
where are you? Get your butt up here too.
What's that?
I was telling Nick to get up here too. I mean, truthfully, guys, the audio events would not have happened without all of us.
I think we will all be in the thousands if you count audio events and all the shows that we've been on.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, how many times have we shown up to share, engage? I mean, these are mastermind sessions, whether we call it that or not, guys. Look at who shows up to the events. If you ever go and just see who's been invited and who's engaged, the old screenshots, I remember I used to take audio event bubble screenshots, and I wanted to dig for them and I didn't get the time. So I might just go back and look, but there were 30 people in the room just sitting there. All these people who are business leaders, coaches, consultants of their own. Everybody had something to share, and we did so. And one person saying, hey, did you know LinkedIn did this? All of a sudden now we're all implementing it in our lives. And it was just amazing to watch everybody bounce off each other, right? And to hear the conversation, then go back into your own lab or journal or creation room, wherever you're doing your thing, and then push out more, push yourself a little farther. I know I've learned from you guys. I can't tell you what I've learned because genuinely the notes, I'd have to go pull the book out, but I had to create a Coffee Chats book after all the events. I don't know if you guys know this, you can go on the website and see it, but I created a planner just for my Coffee Chats where it was your name, a couple of things I learned about you, how we met, any follow-ups. And it was crazy to think that started. But when I go through that planner and I look at the years of people I've chatted with, and all of the coaches and consultants now are people who have their own shows. I wandered into Joshua Lee the other day. I don't remember why I was invited, but I went in there and he gave me a shout out and said my show was his first show. You know, you don't even know that you've done this ripple. And then all of a sudden you realize, wow, that was because I opened a show one day for free on the internet. I didn't charge anybody. You guys, we don't charge these people to come and share. And the gift of that in and of itself, I appreciate my community and the people who do it because it is being stronger together that way. It is being able to share. And I know there are people there who listen who don't like me, right? We talk about the Kim Kardashian effect. Some of my followers just can't stand me. I don't know why they torture themselves by staying around anyway.
I like you. I said like you already, okay? Good Lord. No, but you know what, though?
I knew you felt that.
No, but Houston, also think about all the skills that LinkedIn has, the ripple effect that LinkedIn has had on us and what it has allowed us to learn. Because of LinkedIn, we learned Canva. Because of LinkedIn, we improved public speaking. Because of LinkedIn, we learned how to manage and produce audio rooms and live streams. Because of LinkedIn, we improved our networking. And we also created company pages and learned how to collaborate. So it's one of those things where the ripple effect of what we do is amazing, but I sometimes I don't think we give the platform credit. We complain about the platform a lot, but because of the platform, it is put us on a journey to learn so many other skills that we can use in other parts of our life.
It really, and I mean, Aaron, you are constantly giving presentations. How do you feel LinkedIn production has improved that for you?
Did you have to ask me that question?
Of course you did.
Because you know that I'm transparent like you, and
count.
I am maybe too vulnerable, or not too vulnerable, but too transparent when it comes to the.
Aaron, hold on. Nick, I'm sending you the link on LinkedIn. Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. Production-wise, I mean, okay, there's two things. So one, the audio rooms. The audio rooms were fantastic. And one thing that I've noticed in the kind of production LinkedIn world is that when I used to attend either a Careers Chaos and Coaching or Coffee Chats with Melissa Houston, there was about 50 to 60 attendees in every room. That's pretty big. And now to see on average, if you're doing really well, you're getting anywhere from about 15 to 25 live attendees. So we've seen a monumental drop. There is pros and cons, though. Those that are, and actually, you know what? I'm going to call you on it. It was actually something you just said two nights ago, or maybe it was no, it was 2 nights ago. LinkedIn has got, the streams drop all the time, and the streaming is not the greatest quality, but it forces those that want to be here to come back and log back in. So I'm going to use your terminology when it comes to the whole LinkedIn production side of things. I'm very deadly honest with you, and I am not a big fan right now of the LinkedIn production side of things, the way that streams are dropping so frequently, the limitation on how many comments people can make. That doesn't, to me, profess a network that is all about networking and communication. So,
my friend, my question was, how did production on LinkedIn help you in your day job?
How did production?
That was the question.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. All I heard was production and LinkedIn at the same time, so I apologize for that. I'll
take
own
two.
that.
Take two.
Yeah, on two. Well, now you just threw me off.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, Aaron Gibson's got some beef with me. But truthfully, it is something we've talked about. It is something that I just told him. I love LinkedIn because they do try. It's not perfect, but it is also theirs to break however they want. It's their baby. And the way I tell you guys to run your brands, the way we all talk about doing it our way authentically, they get to do it. Are they winning in all ways? No. It's why we tell you go subscribe to YouTube. YouTube tells me all the time, hey, so-and-so is going to start live. LinkedIn doesn't always do that. LinkedIn comments don't always show up. Sometimes it's because of user settings, guys. If you're not set up to let people who aren't your friends see your comments, you're not going to be live streamed out because they can't control who sees you. And so there's some setting issues. But then there's also the glitch. Every time they upgrade something, something else breaks. And that is technology as a whole, which is why diversity is important. However, the thing I told Aaron, and something that's really important to remember, is as bad as it is, it's still the number one business platform for networking. It is still the nicest of the platforms out there. There is less trolling here than most places, in my opinion, right? I can't say that factually, but what I've watched and experienced and the feelings I get from each platform vary. Do I think you should be on YouTube? 1000%. And I regret not doing it 3 years ago. That's a lesson. Do I hope that you're doing it to Facebook? Absolutely. It's smart, right? Because a lot of people live on that platform too. You do need to monitor yourself when you're on those platforms. They're not as nice. Is it important to diversify and make sure you're not just reaching into the same pool of people every 5 minutes? Absolutely. Add more circles to the Venn diagram all the time. But do we stop building here? No, because if they get it together, we've lost traction. If it magically becomes something that feels like it hasn't given value, I stop and I assess and I asked him, hey, what value did it bring though? And Aaron, what were the values, right? We've done books. We just talked about it on the show today, and I'm excited to have the publisher coming on the stage here. But books.
Well, now that I've got my producer stuff out of my system, I feel much better now. No, the pros of LinkedIn have been amazing. I won't deny the pros that have come with this. One, the friendships. Two, the book opportunities through those friendships. Three, I would not have the technical training job that I have today if it had not been for LinkedIn. And it wasn't the actual recruiting process. I had got captured by a headhunter, but it was all the feedback on LinkedIn that my company looked at to see all the recommendations, to see the fact that I'm still working as a remote producer, the fact that I've achieved these great things here on LinkedIn on the other side of the coin, has monumentally improved my career and my success. So that there's always two sides to a coin. I wasn't trying to to pick on LinkedIn. I just try and keep things fair and equal. So thanks for.
You're allowed to pick on it too. I just I giggled
It
because I
just
was
gets
like,
frustrating.
I know he's so frustrated. Every time I say LinkedIn, he's like, "Arr." But
Can I have
there
one
is
thing,
value
Melissa,
there.
real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
No, because you made a great point, Aaron, about the audio rooms and how many more people showed up for it. But I think they should bring them back, hands down, 100%. But the one thing
Absolutely.
that as much as I resisted it, the ripple effect of being able to share to YouTube and Facebook, like Melissa mentioned, it has been, if we told people go check out our LinkedIn and scroll and find stuff, and they'd get tired. But the YouTube pages, first of all, I've gotten gigs and jobs because people have gone and seen it. Another person I talked to this week, I said, if you want to go to my YouTube page and see the topics I've covered, and feel free to let me know if you want me to cover one of those topics. And so it's helped us promote ourselves so much better. LinkedIn's great in the moment, but for people to go back and find you, and then on Facebook, just to remind people, because I'm not a huge Facebook fan, but I was on it for so many years, all my old friends were on there. Guess what? One of my old employees I worked with 20 years ago, she got me a job to do training for her company that she works at in Virginia because she saw the video that I started posting on Facebook. So you
Yeah.
have friends on there. So I just encourage y'all to realize, even though you may not be loving it, there's people on there that might like what you're doing.
Well, and not just that, but guys, your content pays you on the other platforms. I don't care about Brenda from high school. I don't. No offense to Brenda. I do like my Brenda Anders. I love you and I'm proud of you. But random people from high school being on my friends list is actually a small thing in my world. But the fact that Facebook will pay me for my content, the fact that Instagram will pay up to $10,000 a month to their posters, right? If you can get over there and get posting, you can earn real value money in your pocket beyond what you bring from coaching and consulting. And truthfully, for me, I want this train to keep building. I love the slow pull out of the station. I love the imagery we're doing as we go. I love the friendships we're building, the tracks we're laying, all of that. But what I want is to sit my ass at home and not work and get paid anyway. I want to have that kind of momentum that Brené Brown got, right? I want that let them kind of energy that Mel has in her social media, where social media alone will pay her. And she doesn't have to write again. She doesn't have to speak again. She doesn't have to worry about any of that again. If she just repurposes the content she's already created because the demand is there. Guys, that's the long term for me. I don't want to work every day for the rest of my life. Will I? Likely. Do I want to do it for pay? No. I want to be stable enough that I can give enough back to never be a billionaire. I don't even think I'd be comfortable in million territory unless it's assets too. But I want to have the ability to take my time and give it back the way I want to. And I think knowing where you want to go, knowing what you're building for, knowing beyond today, that long-term goal, like what is the effect? What happens if you don't build? Will the kids take you seriously? And I say kids with finger quotes, but will the new generations take you seriously if you haven't done the time to be on socials, which is all they do? It's like, oh, you're holding onto your typewriter. You're not going to do social media. It's not for you. Cool. Well, we're over here with our computers doing it. And one generation from now, you are the industrial revolution we read about in school. We have no idea what you actually did. Right. And it's a weird concept, but guys, think about long-term commitment. Diversify. Don't just build here. If LinkedIn shuts you down tomorrow, you're screwed. If Facebook shuts you down tomorrow, you're screwed. But if you're everywhere and they have your website and your document then act, even if everybody deletes me tomorrow, the next time I do a document then act, I don't care what platform it is, you know how to find me. That's consistency. That's growth. And that's long-term commitment. What are your pillars? Figure it out. Nick, oh my gosh. Welcome to the stage. How you doing?
I feel a little shitty this morning, but good morning, everyone.
No, what's wrong?
We won't get into that, but the nice part is that I did get to wake up this morning and be here, and I was thinking, oh, she's coming back. This is great, because when I'm doing my little things in the morning on a Saturday, which is primarily having 3 cups of coffee, I like to listen to the show. And because you had gone off air for a while, I had removed my alarm. That's great. I have alarms for all the shows. But because I had been feeling shitty, it's funny, I do this a couple times a week. My husband gets up early every day, even on the weekends, like 5 o'clock. And so he gets out, he comes back. I'm like, is it time to wake up? Are you having coffee? Yes. Can you make one for me? Yes. I wake up, it's 9 o'clock. I cannot tell you the last time I slept till 9. And I said, let me guess. I fell back asleep. The coffee's there, right? Yup. So anyway, all of that to say, I am just glad I'm here, even though I feel like shit. But my goodness, great conversation, great engagement in the audience as always. Where would you like me to jump in? Because there's been so much shit, I could jump in everywhere.
Well, I mean, I guess what was your favorite audio event is what I want to ask you, because I did open the show with talking about the books and how like my love of this platform was one of the lessons and how much I love it here and the love that it shows and all of that. So that's already kind of covered. But what is it that you loved about coffee chats or audio events or just this kind of environment?
Well, could
Because
I start by saying I love the background you used to highlight the books. Um, I have something very weird about me. I'm very machi. I'm gonna say this delicately because we're on social, but like even my undergarments have to match. Like I'm weird. Like my husband's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I can't find the pair of socks that matches this outfit. Um, yeah, so I am starting to learn that as I'm getting older, I have some serious OCD things about me. Um, Shoot. Well, the first live show I ever went to was Gabe Leal's, and that got me, a taste of what lives could be like. Um, Audio event wise, that's kind of hard to say. I will say, until I listened to yours, I had no idea that one person can carry an entire audio event for 2 hours nonstop of just you talking and not somebody up there. Like that was one of the hardest things for me when I started audio. Like I am not going to be able to keep this conversation going. I need people to join the stage. um so I'm still trying to figure out how to get there. I talk a lot, but it doesn't always mean that I can string all my thoughts together and deliver like full value within that space of time, I think. So it's been interesting listening to you because I'm like, I don't know how she does it. Um, you have your talking points, but you also hit them with anecdotes, right? Uh, and so, yeah, anybody can have talking points, but if you can't expand upon those to draw your audience in, um, there is no identification. People will just feel like you're in a class every Saturday morning with you. Nobody wants to be in class on a Saturday morning early. So, yeah.
I love that you said that though, because I always thought of this as my classroom. A lot of people don't know that I wanted to be an elementary education teacher for a long time. I wanted to have like a Montessori style school and do education different because I wasn't good in class. I needed a different kind of learning. If they would have allowed me to like walk and move and whatever in the classroom, I would have done better because I was ADHD and not diagnosed. But every report card on the back said if she just stopped talking, if she'd just sit still, if she could just focus more. And I was fine if I could move, right? Anytime I could get up and do it my way, I could sit for 4 hours in my bedroom as long as I had music on and study dictionaries, Bibles, the sources, whatever it is. I can just dive in for hours, but I had to have it my way. And it's something that I give people permission to do as a coach. It's one of the things that sometimes those people with those degrees need permission to act. They were trained by their educators to get a syllabus, to get permission to go to the bathroom, right? To get permission to do it differently than they're doing in the moment. And so it's part of what I do here is just go, yeah, I give you permission to give yourself permission. It's the weirdest genie effect that I think I can do as a coach, but Genuinely, that's what this classroom or room or lesson with anecdotes, thank you for noticing, really is about, because people remember stories. They don't remember everything, right? Um, Maya Angelou talks about people won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And I think that's so valuable, especially as somebody who survived all the things I have in my life and experienced those people around those environments. You can't trust the words. You have to trust your gut. You have to trust the feelings, because abusers and addicts move to help themselves. And sometimes just people who don't have those addictions or issues, sometimes the selfishness, or sometimes they're drowning and they don't have time to assess other people's feelings or use emotional intelligence. And again, you got to move in your gut, because if you know that you're rattled by their behavior, make space. If somebody's drowning and you move in, you might get pulled down with them. Now you can back up and throw them a life raft. And that's what this room was, right? If you can't afford me, if I can't move in because your life's more chaotic than you can anchor in and decide to coach, this room is a great space, because you can opt in, opt out, leave when you need to, take breaks, come back. Nobody even needs to know you're doing the work. But then those who want it, oh man, that's where the magic happens. And truthfully, I've been grateful to be able to coach many of my friends because of this room. And they became friends after. Or, people who I've coached in a room, had a free coffee chat with, used it as a coaching session, just giving it away. I see them now with their podcast, with their shows, with their books, having said yes to me calling and going, do you want to be in the book? You want to do it? Nick's got an option. And I only know about that because of your room, right? I was in the room when you talked about the second book. I was there when Felipe talked about being in a book. I was like, no, he's not doing that without me. How do you write a book about LinkedIn and not let Melissa be in the book? What? And so it's been so much fun, but those are the things I take away, guys, like knowing your favorite cartoon characters, knowing which Sesame Street character you are, or which Muppet Baby is your favorite, knowing your favorite ice cream flavor. Nick, how many times did we talk about cereal in the morning or ice cream?
Right? Well, I want to say that the idea of a Montessori teacher, I could see it with you, because I mean, kids that age, they have no attention span. And let's be honest, most adults these days have none either. So, you want to be able to keep jumping from topic to topic and changing it up, but, keeping the dots connected. And so you're very good at that, where people aren't getting lost in the thread of things. So ice cream, I'm not even going to go there right now with the ice cream. I think somehow I hit menopause stride in my life, and I've gone from being a salt fiend to a sweet fiend. And so now I have to have, if I only told you last night, Aaron, I never fell asleep after the show, in spite of the fact that I was tired.
Oh
I
God.
felt that I needed to detox from 2 hours and 42 minutes of yapping. So I just watched television, and I had kettle cooked chips, spicy sweet mild chips. Then I had plantain chips. Then I had an oatmeal cookie. Then I had what do you call it? A Vienna finger cookie. Then I had a peanut butter cookie that I baked. And then I figured I better go to bed. So that should tell you that my snacking is pretty much like my personality. A little bit of everything.
No judgment, yo. No judgment.
I know, but my body's going to start repelling. I am, after all, 49 now. So, Melissa, ice cream
Yeah.
sounds really good right now, and I hate you for bringing that up, because
Okay, so I have a wonderful hack that I figured out, guys. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Do it.
I am such a bad girl, and I love whipped cream and Cool Whip, and I don't care. And I know Cool Whip isn't even like whipped cream, and I don't care. But what I love to do is I take the fat-free version of either, and I will make a bowl of it, and then I'll take just a sprinkle of the hot cocoa mix, like the one that's just powder form kids love, and I sprinkle it in, and then I just spin it around a little bit, and then I slice bananas, and then you have this banana hot cocoa lovely treat, and it's super low fat and healthy. I am losing weight, guys. That is something that I've been doing while I've been gone, doing the break, figuring out my life, figuring out what's next, dealing with all of the stuff of having, my marriage and the separation and the stuff happening, right? What I did was assess for me. I decided that change is coming, but growth is happening. If we're going to change, we're going to bloom. If we're going to bloom, it's going to be beautiful. And so what my life looks like right now is I'm coming back to coffee chats. I'm opening up the coaching again in a way I haven't had open in a long time. I had limited myself to 5 annual clients a year, and it worked while I was growing a business. And then I got laid off and all of those things happened. Then I went into retail and I've loved it and we're thriving. And my first year there, we exceeded plan by $250. The next year, we exceeded it by $25,000. And that was an increase of the year before already, right? So 25,000 plus in growth in a year. The team, my assistant manager I trained, she was number 1 in the nation for one of our key performance indicators for one of our sales, goals. She was number 1. She's in her 20s, barely hit 21. I trained her. She's fantastic, but she's passionate. And I know I can cultivate that in people. And that's what I'm refocusing on, because truthfully, it's not about me right now. I don't know what Melissa wants to do except what she's good at. I love coaching. I love consulting. I love making visuals. I love hosting these conversations. I love figuring out where people need to go next and helping them get there. Sometimes they know. Sometimes they know they need the coach and they ask for it. Sometimes I see them in the water with their hand just above it, reaching out. And I'm like, hey, I got a towel. I got a boat. Come up here. Sit down. I got a chair on the boat. It's such a nice boat. Just sit down on my chair. And sometimes I can't, right? And so depending on the coaching, I'm ready. I can't do grief. I knew that. The emotional women, it's happening. But it's not my primary focus right now. It is something that has been put on hold because of life. And it's evolving. And it will become something fantastic very soon. But right now, Melissa's working on growth coaching. Melissa's working on helping people take social media to the next level. She's working on taking herself to the next level, right? It's time again. But here's what I am going to say, because I only have a few minutes. So this is the time. If you guys want help, I'm here. Right? If you want social media help with your team or yourself, I'm here, and I have a discounted plan for Black Friday, all the sales, because retail, it's infused in my system. But I really want you to keep showing up to these shows. You figure out what you need. You figure out how it works for you. Do it for free if you need to. Go to YouTube. Listen to the old shows. They're all there. At least not all, right? But it's been a while that they've been making us live stream. And since I was live streaming, I was sharing to YouTube because it felt right to diversify, to get that income up for the rest of my life. You guys should figure this out. But if I could leave you guys with anything, I want to say thank you. I want to tell you that this right here, I wrote at 16 years old, and I still believe it today. It is up to us to figure out how it ends, right? We are either going to be in victory or we're going to be victims of our circumstances. I will either be victorious in this moment or I will fall victim to something that I never asked for. And I can tell you, I'm not really a victim. I can't do that. I experience situations, but they do not control me. What they do is they make me figure out how to reinforce my boundaries, my systems, and myself to be stronger for the next time something like that comes up. And you know what? That's all I want to help you do. If you need somebody who's lived the experience and figured out a way through, I can tell you I'm that person, because here I am sharing it honestly, transparently in front of you, and you've heard my friends, and you can see the results in the history of the show, the longevity. If it didn't work, it would have been done already. If it didn't work, it would have been called out long ago. But the reality is people do grow. People do figure it out. Sometimes they grow far beyond my reach, and hopefully you should. I should not be your forever coach. However, you should knock out the goal and get the next one. Sometimes I can help with the next goal. Sometimes I refer you to my friends. Either way, they'll keep growing. Grow beyond everything you're standing in today. Take the people with you want. It doesn't mean leave people behind, but grow beyond it. I was just a girl with some friends in an audio room, And then we became co-authors in international best-selling books. My friend's a publisher and running her own business. She's just not splitting her time anymore. She's doing it all the time. Aaron Gibson is better at his job now because of what he's done. Felipe had talked about his experiences. Paulette talked about her experiences. And I'm here telling you, we're at the end of the show, and it's been nothing but a plethora of experiences that I've enjoyed. I've cultivated. You guys have helped me cultivate, and we're going to keep doing. Now, I am working on an outro, but I got to tell you, I'm going to play this because this is what I need today. I hope you need it too. I will see you soon. Take care, guys.
Sunlight creeps through my window pane. Dreams of stars, now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversations open doors, spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing.